Stay live. I hope so. We are going to be making, some people call them skillet cakes, some people call them pancakes. We're just going to call them pancakes for tonight. We're making pancakes. For those of you that usually cook along with me, I kind of failed you this week because I had to actually invent this recipe over the weekend. So you guys won't be able to cook with me tonight, but we're going to go over all the steps. It's super easy, and if you've ever wanted to make a nourishing, properly prepared pancake for your family, I'm going to share with you guys my fresh new recipe that I haven't even typed yet in my own cookbook. So that's going to be coming up here in just a second. I'm going to keep on rounding up my ingredients, okay? While I wait for some of you guys to jump on. You haven't missed anything if you're just jumping on. I've been having reception issues, so I'm like carefully moving the phone, hoping that I don't lose you guys again. So, all right. All right. Hopefully I'm coming through clear. Hey, Rhonda. So glad you guys are back with me. That's awesome. Tonight's going to be a really, really easy meal. This whole month I've tried to select meals that are relatively easy and quick. I know everybody's life is crazy. Typically we don't have breakfast for dinner, but this month we're going to have breakfast for dinner. So like I said, this recipe is a recipe that I actually invented this weekend. So I'm going to give it to you right now. In fact, it's still in my invention notebook. So I haven't even typed it in hard copy. So I'm going to make sure I do that into the cookbook, because the cookbook that I'm making, that I'm going to be selling here, will have an entire section just on soaked meals. So these are soaked pancakes, meaning in order to properly prepare the wheat that's going to go into your pancakes, all you need is water and apple cider vinegar. You sure could switch that amount out with the water and apple cider vinegar and instead use things like buttermilk or whey, all those things. Kefir would also work. I'm just trying to keep it, hey Jackie, I'm just trying to keep it really, really simple, because some of you guys, the sourdough is too intimidating, which I completely understand. I want to bring recipes to you guys that are soaked, so that anybody with water and raw apple cider vinegar can totally pull it off. Apple cider vinegar is not that expensive, and neither is filtered water. So inside the cookbook, there's going to be other recipes in there. I've already made a really, really yummy hamburger bun. I've made biscuits already that are soaked. I'm going to try my hand at some cinnamon rolls that are just simply soaked. So anyway, this recipe is the pancake recipe that is soaked. So there's no sourdough or anything else required with this recipe, just water and raw apple cider vinegar. So it's a great way to get your feet wet with properly preparing pancakes. So yesterday, well actually this was this morning, you need at least an 8-hour soak. So you do it whenever it works for you. You can also start soaking it and put it inside the fridge if it ends up being longer than 8 hours. But inside this container is 3.5 cups of whole wheat flour. I grind my own flour, so if you are one of those that grind your own flour, this is a 50-50 mix of soft white wheat and hard red wheat that's been ground and mixed together 50-50. If you don't grind your own wheat, any all-purpose flour will work for this. So 3.5 cups of all-purpose wheat flour of your choice. If you can get organic, that's great. And then we take a measuring cup. This was all done last night, well actually this morning. That's when it was done in my case. Let's see, do we have a 1 cup measurement? Just a second here. Okay, then to a 2 cup measuring cup, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of raw apple cider vinegar. You want raw apple cider vinegar. You don't want the already pasteurized apple cider vinegar. You want the beneficial bacteria. Hi Susan, thanks for jumping on. You want the beneficial bacteria in that raw apple cider vinegar to help keep the bad bacteria at bay as you're soaking your flour. So what we're going to do is put 2 tablespoons of raw apple cider vinegar in this 2 cup measurement. Then you're going to take filtered water and fill it all the way to your 2-cup measurement, and you add that to your flour. Then all you do is mix it really well, so you end up with like kind of a really thick actually, pancake batter. And then I just put a lid on this and let it sit out on the counter for at least 8 hours. Okay, so now this is properly prepared wheat pancake batter. So this is ready for us to add the rest of our ingredients. So I'm going to angle you guys down so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. If you don't mind, hit the thumbs up button. It helps to show other people about properly preparing. I love my videos to be shared with the world, guys. It's all about properly preparing and nourishing bodies. Okay, so I do have 2 skillets here because in this super big skillet, I'm going to be making the pancakes, and in this back skillet, I'm going to be making scrambled eggs that are seasoned. Rhonda says, you just say what kind of flour. So if you're going to be buying flour from the store, you're going to want to get an all-purpose flour that is preferably wheat, not white flour. You could use a bread flour if that's all you have on hand. And then this is the 50-50 mix that I grind here at the house. But if you're going to go to the store, you're just after an all-purpose wheat flour. Okay, so to our wheat mix, we're just going to add straight to that one bowl right there. Hang on, guys. There we go. So to the bowl, we're going to add 2 eggs. So this is the next morning or 8 hours after it's been soaking. You need at least an 8-hour soak. If you can do 12 hours, that's great as well. So 2 eggs. The next ingredient is a 1/4 cup of milk. If you are dairy intolerant, you could substitute coconut milk for this, or almond milk. So a 1/4 cup of milk. And then we have to add some baking powder to make these nice and fluffy. We need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're also, make sure you guys stick around because we're also going to be making a delicious cinnamon roll topping for these pancakes. We don't typically consume maple syrup here. And the reason why, honestly, is just because my body tends to have a problem with it. So my brain feels like it's bouncing around in my head like a sugar high, and I just the way that feels when I eat maple syrup. I'm perfectly fine with honey, but for some reason, after the GAPS diet, my body just does not like maple syrup, and that's okay. So you can totally serve these with maple syrup, but typically if we're going to have pancakes, we make some sort of a sauce to go on top. And the kids' favorite is definitely this cinnamon roll sauce that we're going to make tonight. My mixer totally broke, or I would be doing this with a mixer. So my husband bought me a new Bosch one. I'm just waiting to use that. This seemed like a small project. Maybe I should have put it in a mixer. I'm going to put it in a bigger bowl. I think that would help. Give us some more stir room. All right. And mine's nice and thick, so I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of water to this. If you're using store-bought flour, you probably won't need the 1/4 cup of water. Home ground, freshly ground flour tends to be much, much drier than store-bought flour. So we're just going to mix until it's incorporated, and then we're going to make some cakes out of this. I might even have to add another 1/4 cup. I was using store-bought flour when I was making my recipe to make sure that you guys would get that. So I know a lot of you guys buy already ground up flour. So if you're using fresh ground flour, half a cup of water. But you guys know, most people have made pancakes before, you know the consistency we're looking for. So just keep on adding water until it gets there. All right, there it is. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my skillet. I'm gonna add my choice of healthy fat, which is lard, but you sure could use coconut oil or butter. All good stuff. We're gonna let this preheat. I'm gonna go grab a pan and we're gonna start the sauce on the back burner. Because nobody wants to wait for sauce once their pancakes are done. So I just used a small saucepan. And I'm just gonna go over low heat and we're going to add, looks like it's about half of a cup of butter. And we're just gonna let that melt and then we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients. So just a special note, I have already pre-scheduled the next live. It's up on the channel already. We're gonna be making a shake and bake chicken next week. It's another very quick meal. There is a little bit of prep that you need to do because that recipe calls for your choice of either sourdough breadcrumbs or sprouted wheat breadcrumbs. If you are gluten intolerant or something, you can always pick up the special breadcrumbs from the store. But that you're gonna have to either make some bread or buy some bread before next Tuesday, because that's part of the coating of that delicious shake and bake chicken. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for this to get hot. Oh, and the ingredients are also in the description box underneath that planned live, scheduled event live, so you guys can see what you need, but it's pretty basic. And then you just gotta decide what you wanna serve with it. You can serve like some sort of steamed vegetables or homemade baked French fries, something like that. Okay, so while this is heating on up, I'm gonna go ahead and get another bowl and we're gonna make our seasoned scrambled eggs. Lots of egg cracking. All right. I'm sure you guys have seen eggs cracked before, but go for it. Here we go. Nice farm fresh eggs of all different colors. I love that. All right. We are going to put 18 eggs. Of course, this is for my large family, so if you need that many, then obviously downsize quite a bit. But we're going to go ahead and crack 18 eggs into the bowl. Maybe. I can tell my pan's almost hot enough. The lard starts getting a look along the bottom of the pan. Instead of it looking smooth, it kind of looks bumpy. I don't know how to describe it. Like the oil is bubbling up or bumping, rising up off the pan. And I know it's just about hot enough for pancakes. If you put the pancakes in before it's nice and hot, then they just won't cook as fast. And if you happen to have too much oil inside your pan, the pancake might not hold together as it's cooking. So we just want to make sure it gets good and hot. There we go. The kids and I finally finished preserving a whole bunch of fruit last week. That was a crazy ride. I did not pull the camera out, guys. I know there were several of you guys that wanted the recipes for pear butter and apple pear butter and apple butter. And I just did not have it in me. We processed and processed and processed for 5 days straight. That was all I could do just to finish canning with my kiddos. So if you are interested in those recipes, you can always email me. They will also be in my cookbook. If you email me, I can just, type it up quick in an email, just in case you are preserving pears or apples right now and you want those recipes. I'd be happy to give them to you. I just didn't have time to edit anything. So, Acres Farm. Sorry, hang on. Peaceful Acres Farm says, I came in late. What's being mixed? Okay, so this is going to be scrambled eggs. And then I don't know exactly when that comment was made because it doesn't timestamp it at all for me, but we're going to be doing seasoned scrambled eggs in the back pan. And in this first pan, we're going to be doing soaked griddle cakes or pancakes, whatever you want to call it, which was what this mixture was. So, like I said, I'm not sure exactly when you made that comment, but those are the two things that have been mixed. Okay, so this is nice and hot. So I'm going to go ahead and take a 1/4 of a cup measurement. This is about the size I do pancakes. I know some people like to do huge pancakes, but with my children, the problem that I commonly have is that they will say they're still hungry, and if I give huge pancakes, then they probably won't eat 2 full pancakes and we'll have some waste, which isn't a big deal. We have chickens, but I would like them to eat their full pancakes. So I just go ahead and do a 1/4 cup measurement for my kids, and if they eat 2 or 3, great. At least they're going to eat the whole thing instead of leaving a nice good pancake on their plate. This is a ginormous size griddle, so I can, or pan, so I can actually get like 3 pancakes in here. Which is nice. I used to have one of those plug-in griddles, but those are non-stick. And if you don't know it already, non-stick is a big no-no. There's a lot of toxins in it. It heats on up. It's putting those toxins into your food. So just be aware of that. Try to switch over to something like cast iron, or even a good quality 304 stainless steel is a good option. Whatever's inside your budget, but please don't settle for non-stick. All right. So we've got our butter melting back here. And to that, we are going to add a 1/4 cup of raw honey. And if you guys have been watching me for any amount of time, I don't measure out honey. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Maybe a little more. I just don't like getting my utensils all sticky and then I'm like washing it down the sink. I just rather pour it straight into the bowl here. All right, I'm going to grab a whisk. All right. So I'm just going to whisk this back butter around. I keep on turning on the light for myself, but you guys can see much better when it's off. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the heat to medium now. The butter is about half melted there. Every time I make a recipe that is soaked with soaked flour, my kids always say they love it more than sourdough. It is a different flavor for sure. And this recipe was no different. They absolutely loved it. In fact, you guys know Bree, the oldest child. She said, "Oh, sourdough cakes, those were so good last time." I said, "Oh, those weren't sourdough. Those were soaked. That's why you loved them so much." They also loved my soaked pizza crust. And so it just kind of goes down the same aisle there. Has the same flavor, so it didn't surprise me that they absolutely loved it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this pan on back here, just because I like a crazy fun time here. And I'm going to add more lard back here. Like I said, you could also use coconut flour, goose fat, duck fat, or coconut oil, I mean. Goose fat, duck fat, butter, ghee, any of those things is great. There we go. Awesome. These cook up pretty fast, guys. Both sides are already cooked. So I'm just going to put them on a plate to rest until we got some sauce ready to go. So we're just waiting for the butter to completely stop, to be all completely melted and nothing solid into the back pan there. Okay. Maple syrup's a little bit more on the expensive side, which is another reason why I like this sauce, is because it tastes like a cinnamon roll. The kids love it, and I'm not paying for a whole bunch of maple syrup. Both of those pancakes are done. Look at those. Told you it was going to be a fast meal. So for breakfast, sometimes we'll just have these skillet cakes, and sometimes we'll have eggs with it, or bacon and eggs. Depends on the weekend. Usually on Saturdays we have a little bit more for breakfast than what we typically do. Okay, so all of my butter is melted back here. So I'm going to go ahead and add, hang on a second here. We're going to add some milk to the back pan. I'm going to add about 3/4 of a cup of milk. And 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. If you really want like a really in-your-face cinnamon, maybe do 2 tablespoons. My kids like it better when it's not burning their mouth off, so we're going to stick with 1 tablespoon. Okay, so as soon as this comes up to a simmer on the back, we're going to go ahead and add, whoopsie, we're going to go ahead and add some cassava flour. Now, you sure could use cornstarch to thicken it. We just need a thickener here. And cassava is what I have available, so that's what I'm going to go ahead. I have cornstarch too, but that's what I'm going to go ahead and use. It's not quite hot enough yet. That back pan there. So we're just going to wait for that to come up to a simmer. It's over medium heat. These pancakes will obviously freeze well. So this is something that you could do on the weekend. Totally throw them into the freezer and bring them out during the week for your breakfast if you're in a rush. Usually stuff that's made out of flour freezes pretty well. I have not tried this recipe yet as a waffle recipe, so I don't know how that would work. Sometimes you can interchange the recipes as far as pancakes and waffles, but not always. So if I end up doing that, I'll let you guys know how that turned out. Because this pan is so large, it's actually larger than my burner, and so I always have to move my pancakes around so that I don't burn some of them and that they all get cooked. So like I said, next week is going to be the shake and bake chicken, so that'll be a fun recipe to make. I just made a delicious creamy taco soup. That was yesterday's lunch, so that will be a coming up cooking class as well, live cooking class with the recipe. So that'll be yummy. And we'll be coming, I forget what else is on this month's menu. I usually pick out recipes and I take them times 4. Let me grab my recipe book. Here we are. So, this month, I look forward to live cooking classes with the following recipes. We've got shake and bake chicken next week, creamy chicken tortilla soup. It's not taco soup, it's tortilla soup. Chicken pot pie soup with bread, Chicken, we already did the chicken fajita rice. That was last week. Bean and cheese smothered enchiladas, and then Mexican lasagna. So those are all coming up. Okay, so this back pan is simmering. So we're going to go ahead and add half of a tablespoon of cassava flour. And we're going to whisk it really, really good. And what we want is like a liquid that is about the same consistency as a syrup. So we're going to let it simmer for probably about 30 seconds and see about how thick it is then, because that thickener needs a little bit of time to thicken up. Better not put more cakes on here. I think it needs a little bit more. So we're going to go with another half a tablespoon, so a total of 1 tablespoon of your choice of thickener. Gonna whisk away there. All right, this is done. It's nice and like a semi-thickness. Like I said, you don't want anything that's too thick like a jelly, but not too thin like a water. So right in the middle, right around the maple syrup consistency is what we're looking for. I have not had a chance to work on my recipe book lately because, well, I've been processing a whole bunch of fruit. All right, this is finally hot enough. This other pan back over here, so I'm going to go ahead and dump the eggs that we just whisked on up, and then we're going to add some seasonings. Okay. Move you guys a little bit closer so you can see. All right, so to the top of the eggs, I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle. If I had to imagine, it's going to be probably about 1 teaspoon of powder. And then we're going to grab some salt. We love our eggs with garlic powder in them, and if we don't get the garlic powder in them, everybody can tell. So here's the salt. Thinking about salt too. And if you like pepper, go ahead and add it. My kids are not big pepper fans. I just burned those pancakes. The good thing about a sauce is it'll just cover that burned one right there in sauce and no one will ever know it was ever burned. No biggie. All right. Those are well on the way to cooking. So let me show you what a basic plate looks like here. For my kids anyway. So we're just gonna put a pancake on there, and then typically we do a 2-layer deal at our house. Okay? So like oozing out in between, and then we cover it all over the top. And try not to burn the rest of the pancakes. Okay, so there's your close-up. These are so good, you guys. The sauce is absolutely amazing. If you wanted to get fancy, you could sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top or something to make it look really, picture perfect. But these are absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. And we have them at least once a week. Usually I make sour pancakes, and they're good on sourdough pancakes too. But like I said, tonight I wanted to bring a recipe that even those of you that don't have sourdough, you guys can still properly prepare the wheat flour and be able to get it to your families without having to learn something totally new. Just water and raw apple cider vinegar. Whoa, we went I got wild utensils tonight, I think. All right, so the eggs are cooking on the back. All right. Another really good sauce is butter that's melted, and you can add your choice of berries to the pot. And then let it simmer to so the berries kind of release their juices. You could add a little bit of milk, then thicken it back up with a thickener just like we did. Add a little bit of honey. That's really good as well. Turns it into kind of like a syrup. All right. We're cooking. All right. But you guys can see how thick that sauce got. It's almost like an applesauce thickness, you know? But not quite. Not quite. We're aiming for the thickness of maple syrup, but if it gets too thick, you could always add just a little bit more milk. That's what I love about these recipes where you're thickening up a sauce, is that if it ends up too thick, you add more liquid. If it ends up not thick enough, you just add a little bit more of your thickener. All right. I did have a question come in this week. I'm going to try and feature a couple of the questions that are coming in on the channel when we do these lives, because I know you guys don't see all the comments like I have to, and so I think it's really good to share those questions and the answers, because the people who are asking them are probably not the only people who are asking those questions. So this week I got a question into the channel that was a comment about fermenting beans and rice, and specifically rice. And she had commented and said that I was the only channel that she's ever seen that ferments the rice before I cook it. She said she's seen some channels that cook the rice halfway and then ferment them, but none of them ever fermented it before. And she wanted to know, what the difference is between the two methods, between cooking it halfway and fermenting and then just fermenting. So the answer is, when you ferment something that is raw, you multiply the nutrients within that object. So, for instance, with sauerkraut, when you take that cabbage and you ferment it into sauerkraut, the vitamin C in it goes up I think it's like 40 times the amount of vitamin C more in the actual sauerkraut than there was ever in the cabbage. So that's just one example. So when you're taking your rice or your beans and you're fermenting them before you cook them, you are multiplying the nutrients. You're going to get more nutrients within that rice or within that bean than what you would have had you not fermented it before you cooked it. If you cook the rice halfway and then ferment it, you will be gaining beneficial bacteria in your gut, because the beneficial bacteria won't be getting cooked and killed into the process. But if you are not soaking that rice prior to cooking it with apple cider vinegar, then you're cooking the rice with all of the enzyme inhibitors and the phytic acid still in there, and that's still going to be there. So you're going to want to choose which way you'd like to go, I guess. on that one, but that's the difference between the two. If you don't know how to ferment your own rice or properly prepare beans, I do have a complete guide to fermenting beans up on the channel. I also have how to ferment rice. I recommend that if you watch the how to ferment rice video, that you go ahead and watch the the complete guide to fermenting beans as well, because I do talk about rice in there, and I do answer a ton of questions that came about after those other earlier videos were published. And you might be asking some of those questions yourself in your mind, so it's a good idea to watch both. But especially this day and age, lots and lots of people are stocking up on beans and rice. And I just beg you, please don't forget your apple cider vinegar, your raw apple cider vinegar, so that those beans and rice are properly prepared. And if you can learn how to ferment them, then the beans and rice will have a lot more nutrition in them than what you paid for. And they will fill your family up faster. So those are all good things, and that's a good skill to learn, just in case you end up having to eat beans and rice. Okay, so the eggs are actually done on the back. It's just a simple scramble. Like I said, scrambled eggs, and then those delicious pancakes, which are right here, smothered in delicious sauce. Okay. We just have one more pancake cooking. This is cast iron, so I went ahead and shut the heat off on this pan because cast iron stays hot for a while. And this one will be cooked here in just a second. There it goes. All right, so I know somebody's going to ask, how many pancakes did this make? So hang on one second and I'll count it for you. Just a minute. So we got 2 on the plate behind me with the sauce on it. Hang on a minute. Trying to move you guys back to the safe zone where I know YouTube won't cut me off. Okay, so, oh, now my head's cut off. Hang on. All right. So 2 are on the plate over there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pancakes using that 1/4 cup measurement. Should get around 14 pancakes. And then, of course, the eggs, that was 18 eggs. And that filled up a 12-inch skillet. What's up, Curly? You look hot. Do you know why you're hot? Let's show the people why you're hot. You ready? Come here, Beth. Show them why you might be hot. Now, it's 91 outside. But Bethany here, she wishes that it was fall or winter. So what did you wear today? Can you style it? Why don't you spin for the people? So she picked out a thermal long sleeve shirt to wear. Turn around. And so she's all sweaty. What was your question?
Could I ask another movie?
Sure.
After the gun
movie. Little warm day for that shirt. All right, so that's all there is to it, you guys. If you guys have any questions, put them down below. And like I said, the pre-scheduled event for next week is already up. That is the shake and bake chicken. And inside the description, we have all lists of all the ingredients for next week. So you guys can go check that out. Deborah O'Neill says, mine would go out barefoot in short sleeves in the winter. Well, I guess I can be grateful that it's summer and, well, fall or whatever this is. And at least she's hot and not frozen to death, right? Yeah, we kind of our weather keeps going up and down. And it's very, very unpredictable. And it went down, like highs in the 50s. And so I was like, okay, everybody, let's clean out our clothes and let's switch over to fall and winter and only keep like 2 t-shirts because this is it. The extended forecast says highs in the 60s. Yeah, it was 91 today. So it kind of came back with a little bit of a vengeance, which is kind of annoying after you've already packed up all of your children's shorts. But they are saying that tomorrow we're supposed to go back to fall. So that'll be good. She's a sweetheart, though, that Bethany. She likes to snuggle with you, so I don't pick on her too much, but she keeps putting on these really hot shirts, and it's really warm here. All right, Any other questions or anything anyone wants to talk about before I go? If you guys have something, comment down below. Any questions, or if you guys want me to make certain content, I am going to be making the video about how to make cranberry sauce. Sugar-free orange cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be canning it. I ordered some cranberries from Azure Standard last month, and because my life's been so crazy, I haven't gotten around to it. But I will be getting to it this week, probably tomorrow. We'll just have to see. But that recipe is absolutely delicious, and it's only sweetened with honey. My husband grew up and requested the canned cranberry sauce every single Thanksgiving. And 2 Thanksgiving ago, I started making this homemade cranberry sauce. And he had requested the canned stuff, so I got him one. And he tasted my homemade stuff and decided he didn't need the canned stuff anymore. So even the picky eaters love this canned cranberry sauce, so be watching for that video. Hey Diane, I'm so glad you're back. That's so cool. It's okay that you're late. You'll just have to go back and watch the replay. We made soaked, properly prepared skillet cakes or pancakes, whatever you want to call them. And then we made this delicious sauce on the top. Look, Diana. Oh my gosh. This is a cinnamon roll sauce. So we don't typically do the maple syrup thing at our house just because my body doesn't like it very well. So this is a delicious mixture, and it tastes just like cinnamon rolls. The whole stack of pancakes will. So that was tonight's class, and we just made some seasoned scrambled eggs. So super easy, super fast. And next week's will be super easy, super fast. It's a shake and bake chicken. So that should be really, really good as well. Yeah. So that's it, I think. That's awesome, guys. All right. I hate to go because there's like 7 of you guys on here. If you guys have any topics you want to talk about, let's talk about them before I go. I can stay on as long as you want me to. Hey, Carl. He's saying hello to everybody. That's awesome. I came across, we redid my pantry. I'll show you guys. Hang on. We had to redo it because I canned way too much stuff, guys. So I'll take you in there. Don't get sick. Okay, so these are my new pantry shelves. Okay, my husband and I these this weekend. And I found, Carl, look. Look familiar? I kept your little container. It's got coconut sugar in it now. But I kept your little container you sent me with your yummy honey in it. But anyway, this is our weekend project. Let me tell you, we did not paint these until they were all together, just due to time, and my husband had to build them before he went to work. And yeah, it took me 6 hours to paint. It was not very much fun at all. But it's done now, and we've got a space for everything. And so that's good, but yeah, it was definitely a long weekend. I will tell you that much. All right, that's that. Speaking of honey, yeah, it's nice and well organized, Carl, because I just got done doing it like 2 hours ago. Now, next week, I don't know if I'll show you the inside of my pantry. It doesn't last long because I've got kids that just cram stuff all over my shelves, and it's crazy. Oh, the other thing that changed this week is I am getting rid of my KitchenAid mixer. I invested a little over a year ago in a KitchenAid Professional. It's beautiful. Here, I'll show you. It's beautiful. Somebody would love it, I think. But here it is. You guys have seen it in my videos. You guys have heard the noises it makes, okay? Sometimes it tries to start on fire when I'm making bread. Anyway, I have attachments for it to make, it's called a sauce maker, and I've showed you guys that before here on the channel. But basically you can put raw tomatoes in one end and tomato sauce comes out the other. And I also use it for applesauce and pear sauce, so I steam the apples and I steam the pears and I send them through this attachment for my KitchenAid. And it's worked very, very well. I've had the attachment for probably 8 years. And I've had that KitchenAid since last July, so just a little over a year. And unfortunately, it is not working out to be a beneficial relationship between the two of us. I'm not really sure why I paid $500 for a professional grade mixer when it started making noise in the gearbox at 6 months. And now it's got to the point where when I try to knead a simple dough for bread for 5 minutes, it just like starts to smell and gets really super hot. And sometimes it times out for 20 minutes. And so anyway, I'm done with that relationship. So my husband bought me a Bosch mixer. So I haven't used it yet. I'm not going to say I love it or hate it yet, but that will be inside my videos in the future instead of the KitchenAid. The KitchenAid needs to go find a new home of someone who does not mind brawling noises and possible smoke, bad odors coming out of it. I'm not sure who's going to want that, but I'm officially done on breaking up with my KitchenAid. Moving on to a Bosch, we'll see if I like it as good as I used to like KitchenAid. I guess the Bosch has a belt instead of gears, so I'm hoping that lasts longer than this KitchenAid did. In any event, what I was saying was, speaking of honey, I said this in other videos, but just in case you've missed it, this company is really, really great. It's prairierockhoney.com. This is raw honey, and they treat their bees wonderfully. This is like $39 a gallon for raw honey, and if you spend over $50 on the website, it's free shipping. So really good deal on raw honey. I haven't found that anywhere else. So as far as the warranty with the KitchenAid, it's very, very sad. 30-day warranty, no questions asked. And in fact, when my first one that we bought last year only lasted 2 hours, I was able to take it back to the store and get a new one. But then after that, it's like a 90-day parts and labor warranty. Then after the 90 days, it's you can pay for shipping to us and pay for shipping back and pay for labor, and we'll give you the parts. But the last time I checked in with them, they were saying the parts were back ordered, and if I shipped them my KitchenAid, I'd be waiting 3 to 4 months at a minimum for my KitchenAid to come back. So anyway, I bake too much, you guys, and I cook way too much to not have a mixer. As you guys saw tonight, I was hand mixing. I'm just so used to not having a mixer that functions and a mixer that isn't growling at me that I just started mixing by hand, which is fine, but man, when you spend $500 on a mixer, you sure hope that you'd be able to use it to make stuff. So I'm just really disappointed, but I'm excited for a new adventure with Bosch. I'm hoping that ends up being better. If you guys have a Bosch, and if you like it or if you hate it, comment down below and let me know. I'm hoping I like it, and I'm hoping I like it a lot and don't hate it for several years to come. My original KitchenAid was not a professional brand KitchenAid. It's the smaller one with the tilt head. I had that thing for 14 years. And it worked great, and I thought I should upgrade and give this one away and get the bigger bowl and the professional grade, because I'm making all these breads and pastries and everything else, and well, I should have kept my old one. So if you have an old KitchenAid and you're considering upgrading to a brand new one, please don't. Save yourself the heartache. It's not worth it. It is crazy. So anyway, that's the end of my KitchenAid rant. Unfortunately, KitchenAids are not designed for hard taxing flour mixing long term, proven to KitchenAid to be their Achilles heel. Yeah, I don't know, it just started growling, and the first one we bought, I literally used it. I brought it out of the package and cleaned it and washed everything and made my birthday cake with it, just the batter, and it worked perfect. I put my birthday cake inside the oven to bake and then washed out the bowl, came back to make the frosting so it could cool inside the refrigerator, and I went to go turn it on, and it sounded like it was, I don't know, grinding somebody's bones. So anyway, I turned it off, and we called KitchenAid. They said, oh, take it back to Bed Bath & Beyond and exchange it, which we did. And then, like I said, this one lasted about 6 months before it started making a noise. And of course, when you call them, the warranty's gone. All of the parts are probably made in China, which is why they're all back ordered. So it just hasn't been a good experience, that's all. But anyway, if you guys have a Bosch, put it down below. Do you have a homemade sandwich bread recipe? Yes, I do. I am going to try and make, okay, so my sandwich bread recipe, I have a sprouted recipe up here. I don't know if I ever did my sourdough recipe up here. But there is a sprouted sandwich bread recipe up here on the channel. I know that for sure. Not sure about the sourdough, but I could get one up here if you're interested in that. And then I also plan to mess around with the soaked version of, I have to invent it, of a dough that you could make a sandwich bread with. So if I'm successful, that would be awesome. I've never done that before, so I'm not going to guarantee to anybody I'm going to be able to figure that out. But so far we've figured out, like I said, pancakes, buns, and then the biscuits. So I should be able to hopefully figure out a sandwich bread that is simply soaked, because that would be awesome for a lot of you guys. You'd obviously have to add yeast to it because it's not going to have anything to naturally rise. But so that could be something I can be messing around with. But if you want a recipe right now, I do have a recipe up here on the channel for the sprouted wheat bread. And then, like I said, I can't remember if I have one up for sourdough or not. Like, I think I intended to make one and then I never did, but there might be 2 sandwich recipes up here on the channel. I know for sure the one that was sprouted got really, really fluffy, like the store-bought bread that you buy. So that's a really, really good recipe. And my sourdough usually does that as well. I just can't remember if I put that recipe up or not. I do know that when I put that the sprouted video up on YouTube, that somebody had commented asking me if I've ever made sprouted sourdough bread, which I never ever have. But it would be, you could take and you would just be feeding the sourdough sprouted wheat. So it would be the same recipe as a sourdough bread recipe. So I had told her, I think, that I was going to put up a video for sourdough bread, and I don't think I ever got around to it. I'm guessing cassava flour is not GAPS approved. No, cassava flour is not GAPS approved, and in fact, no thickeners are. So for the sauce, when we were on GAPS, oh, I mean, these aren't GAPS either. When we were on GAPS, for on top of pancakes, we did melted butter and raw honey, like mixed together. Well, you can put like your cinnamon in that and call it good. I'm trying to think of what else we put on our pancakes when we were on GAPS. I had homemade like berry preserves. I will tell her hi, Carl. Yeah, she's been working so hard on the farm that she's either out working, which she's not doing right now. She's trying to earn extra money, okay? So Bree has been saving her money, and she wants to buy something really cool for herself. And so she's like constantly looking for more work to do on the farm to earn more money. So she'll either be out doing that, or right now she is in the living room with the rest of the kids watching, I think they're going to watch, what is it called? Little House on the Prairie movie. But she's been working on her big project, which was, we got some old fire bricks from someone. And so she's been taking a chisel and chiseling the old grout off of them, because we're going to build a pizza oven next year, an outdoor pizza oven. And we have to have those all cleaned up. And so when we received them and stacked them all, she said, "Mom, could I take a chisel and a hammer and clean all these off and earn some money?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I think she's almost done with that. Or she might, yeah, she has like probably 15 left out of 300, I'd have to say. So she's been working really, really hard on that to earn some money. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is either she's outside trying to earn more chore money to build up her stash of money and go buy something really cool for herself, or she's over on the couch watching a video crashing, just relaxing. Her birthday's in January and she wants a puzzle of a fox. I think so. I know she wants a puzzle, that's for sure. She's going to be 13, Carl. Can you believe that? How did that happen? I don't even know. She's 13, and luckily the next sister down is only going to be 11, because I don't know. I need a couple of years with a teenager to get used to it before I had 2 of them at the same time. So that's going to be happening. But yeah, she would love a puzzle of a fox. She loves animals. She loves nature. She loves, I've bought her like a couple of those field guides. And she loves to go out in nature and identify like trees and birds. And she's just very much a nature girl that just loves to know what everything is called. So that's kind of her thing. So anyway, but anyway, yes, usually she helps me, but she's been doing those other things instead lately. Tonight she said, Mom, I'm really, really tired. Do you need help for the cooking class? It's just pancakes, isn't it? And I said, yeah. And she's like, okay, well then I'm going to go chill on the couch. So anyway, that's where she is. Maybe next week. That would be fun to bring her. That's a lot of protection. A lot of what? Hang on a second. It's a lot of chiseling the cement off the bricks. Eye protection. Yes. Yeah, she had eye protection. And actually these bricks, they are clay. Because I forget what they're called. But I did some research and identified, because it came out of somebody's house. They took out their chimney all the way through their house. And so they're clay. And so the clay ones that were not the ones that were on the outside of the house for the actual chimney, but the ones that were in the inside of the house for the, I don't know what it's called, the flue, I guess. Those are made out of clay. And those are actually super easy to chisel. You can actually just like run a chisel across them. And because I helped her with some of them. And the stuff comes right off. So that's great. Now, stuff for the roof was, some of them we just kind of threw them aside because there's no way we're going to be able to get the stuff off of them. But she's been working very, very hard. And she's going to be really, really happy when she finishes those last 15 bricks and gets her money. She's going to be a really, really happy girl. But yeah, she usually helps here at the kitchen. But next week would be a fun one to bring her along with, because we're going to do the shake and bake chicken, and she could shake it. It's not, I don't think it's terracotta brick. This came out of like 100-year-old house. And it doesn't have the orange color like terracotta. It like literally you can take the brick and you can go up to a concrete and like write on it with it. So I forget what it was called. What I did was I Googled what a true fire brick is, because I'm like trying to design the pizza oven and everything and decide what materials I wanted to use. And so I took these bricks on thinking for sure I'd use them somewhere. But I just wanted to make sure they weren't going to explode. And so anyway, I came across this whole, I always get confused what they're called, like a forum, like where everyone's talking to each other. And they were saying that you can identify true clay fire bricks that you get from old homes. If you can take them and you can write on concrete like sidewalk chalk, then that's what that is. So, I don't know. They're made out of clay and something else, obviously, because they're hard, but I don't know. They're a solid brick, that's all I know. But anyway, when we go to build that this next spring, I'll have to take the camera along so you guys can see how we're going to do that. But I'm looking forward to that because I'd love to have pizza parties at my farm where people can bring toppings and like I provide the dough and everything. Solid brick for sure. New bricks have 3 holes in them. Yeah, the new ones have 3 holes in them, and that's what they were saying on this forum, was like to avoid those because they're made out of something different that will explode. So anyway, yeah, so I'd love to have pizza parties out here so people could bring like a potluck of toppings, and I could just provide the oven, obviously, and the dough. And I think that'd be a lot of fun. Everybody could have their own like personal sized pizza and throw it in there, and it's supposed to cook in like under a minute, so that'd be super cool too. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That's next year's project, not this year's project. We have way too much to get done. We're still trying to get our greenhouse finished up with the plastic. The ends are almost ready for the plastic, and then the plastic will go over the top. The goal, fingers crossed, is to have the plastic on the greenhouse by October 15th. Usually that's around when our first freeze is here. Usually it'll be a killing freeze, and then it'll warm back up, and we won't see frost or below freezing temperatures until at least November at night. So we'll just have to see what ends up happening, but I'm really hoping we can get the plastic on because I do have plants in there that are going to die if we don't get the plastic on before then. So it's definitely a goal. So that will be happening soon. And I've got to tear out my garden and everything else. So we just have too much to do before winter. And firewood. We have a ton of firewood after that really bad storm we had into the spring. That all has to be chopped and stacked and covered, and everything else that involves wood heat. So that is all coming this fall as well. So it's going to be a busy fall. Definitely don't need to try and fit a pizza oven build into this fall. So anyway, all right. I think that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys getting on with me tonight. And I hope you guys had fun, even though it's just pancakes and eggs. And I hope I inspired those of you who do not want to try sourdough because it's too intimidating and sprouted flour is too expensive for you, take the flour that you have at home, add water, filtered water and apple cider vinegar, and make your family some pancakes and eat some proper prepared grains, and get your feet just a little bit wet. I can guarantee you your family isn't going to be able to taste the difference, and they're going to love them, and it's going to fill up your kids and your family a lot better than just plain pancakes. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully the next video you see me on is making homemade cranberry sauce, and the video number 3 to the GAPS diet, because I did not get around to that either, and I know there are several of you who are waiting for the video number 3 on the GAPS diet. So those will be coming out this week, I promise. Hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys in the next one.